Welcome to the SJ Child Show, where a little bit of knowledge can turn fear into understanding. Enjoy the show. Hi, and thanks so much for joining the SJ Child Show. Today, I'm going to give a special shout out to the Global Autism Project. And this morning, I was able to be a part of a parent question answer panel for Rwanda. And it was just so unique and special. And I wanted to thank them for bringing the community of parents together there who want to gain more information, who want to make a better impact for their child and their community. So if you haven't already, go check them out. They have Facebook and Instagram pages. They also host the podcast Autism Knows No Borders, where I've been honored to be a guest, as well as just a part of the global autism community. So enjoy the show. Hi, welcome to the SJ Child Show. Today, I am really interested because we're already in a great discussion. So I had to stop her where she was at so we can record this and share with everyone. What a valuable discussion today. I hope that listeners really have a wonderful takeaway and can find the resources you need and work best for your family. And that is oftentimes through trying lots of different things, especially from our families that are on the neurodiverse journey. Today, I'm really excited to have Danielle here. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, it's going to be a great conversation. And like I said, it's just very laid back and organic and just a place to share, your story and your journey and help others along the way that can take some of the information that might resonate with them. They feel like they're not alone in their journey. And it's such a beautiful community to be a part of and to bring the information for that reason. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what brought you here today.
Okay, well, my son was diagnosed with autism in 2001, shortly after, no, just before he turned 6. And the first person I called when he was diagnosed was the lady who founded the local Autism Society chapter. And she told me about, the things that kids get and how that's related to autism. And I was just kind of floored because I had never heard that before. This was back in 2001, so brand new information to me. And I had been one of those parents who was all pro for those things, and I took my son to get them every one of them that was available early before they were even due. And he was an incredibly sick child. And here comes my 5-year-old.
Oh, children are always welcome. Hi.
So he was, say hi. He was an incredibly sick child. And like every time the wind blew, he was sick. And he had circles under his eyes, his ears were red, he was hyper. He just everything. And I would take him to the doctor, and the doctor would say, "Oh, he's fine. Children are just different. He's just fine. Put a shirt under his shirt. Maybe he's cold." And when he started walking, he toe walked. When he was crawling, he was scooting his face on the carpet. And there were just so many signs. His receptive and expressive language skills were just really, really not where they should have been. And he lost he my 5-year-old.
I know, right? It's okay, right? You don't have to stay on track all the time. Sometimes they just need our, especially when you're doing something and you're engaged, then it's like, okay, now it's time to see what's going on here.
Yes. Gave birth to him on my 44th birthday.
Oh, heavens, what a
And
sweetheart.
he keeps me young. Um, but okay, so there were all sorts of signs that there was something going on diagnostically with my firstborn. And but I had no clue. I was a psychology student, so you'd think that I would have all the signs, but no. All I knew about autism, like for real, was that, and of course this is not true, but all I knew was that they rocked back and forth, and they didn't talk, and they banged their heads in the walls. That's all I remember learning.
Yeah.
And I remember being pregnant with him and thinking, oh my goodness, my two biggest fears, having twins, having one with autism. And so, of course, I got one with autism. When he was 4, my nephew, I got my nephew who was also 4. So I got the twins too.
Oh gosh.
Never have fears.
Right? Wishes came true, unfortunately.
It was fun times. Um, but anyway, so the signs were there, but I couldn't get a diagnosis till 2001, and when he was nearly 6. I believe it was March 2001. And I searched for a doctor who could help me with the things that I had learned concerning detox and diagnostics to help my child, and I couldn't. There were 2 in the state of Louisiana. There was one at Tulane, and we got on her waiting list because I think that there might have been a way to afford her. I was still a single college student, and at that time, also taking care by myself of my mother, my nephew, and my child, and working full time. I think, well, no, I was probably working part time actually at that point, but nonetheless, lots of responsibilities. And so the other doctor was in Baton Rouge. Okay, so fast forward a couple of years, and I was out of school working in Baton Rouge about 3 days a week in TV news. And not an anchor or anything like that. I was working for a TV news production company, and I basically did production and some reporting. So I did some interviews, and I said I told my supervisor, who was the company owner, said, you know what? Why don't we see if we can interview Dr. Stephanie Cave? And she was the other doctor in Louisiana, and so she agreed to it. So we got an interview, made a video news release, which is it's a news story that we would send out to all the TV stations in the state, and for their news programs, um, mainstream, of course. And my supervisor back then had been the news director for one of the TV stations in my area in Louisiana for 10 years. So he was connected to all the stations. So they all played our stuff. And anyway, so I interviewed this doctor about all of this stuff, all of the all
Gathering
of the truth
information.
behind it. And being a mom who had been living this for, like, at that point, 8 years, I knew what to ask, because moms are the best researchers. And then I was a college student on top of that too. And being in psychology, you learn how to research, and you learn how to spot biased um, research, so you know what's real, what's not, you know. And anyway, unfortunately, not everybody pays attention, to what creates bias. But so we got that interview, got it on, and it aired all over the state of Louisiana. And that was in July, maybe, of 2003. And we had people who had been in Louisiana and had autistic grandchildren and such, and had seen that when it aired. and called our office asking for copies of the tape. And back then, everything was on tape.
Yeah.
So it was a good thing. And then I tried to do some follow-up interviews with that, and I was told by the newsroom people that we couldn't do anything like that anymore. They couldn't play it because it would upset their sponsors. And who are their sponsors?
Let me
Yeah,
guess.
all you have to do is look at the commercials, and that's who their sponsors are. That's who cuts their checks. And that's how I learned about, the mainstream media, my peek behind the curtain, so to speak.
Yeah.
And um, anyway, so my son, long story short, my son got in to see this doctor that day. When we did the interview, she set up an appointment with him, and he began the detox. He had amalgam fillings, which are the silver fillings that contain, you know what they contain,
Yeah.
and he had to have those removed before we could start the chelation process. So I believe that was in October of 2003 when they were removed. I have this weird ability to remember these things. But other than that, we began the other things prior to while we were waiting to get those removed. Um, but he had 19 IgG food allergies,
Mm.
which doctors like to say are just sensitivities and not allergies, but those contribute to immunological failures and behavioral issues and such. And they're it's not pretty. And he had 19, and most of them were to the most common foods. I mean, that are in everything. And then he had leaky gut syndrome. He had double allele MTHFR mutation, so did not produce glutathione at all. So everything he came into contact with, he held on to as far as toxins. And um, he had a belly full of yeast, candida, and like I imagine it like a little ball that was like in his gut. And he had, I know this is gross, but he had never had a formed stool in his life. It was all like liquid
Yeah.
coming out of his rectum. And um, as soon as we began, and he had everything else you can imagine that they tested for, I guess I need to say, he had high levels of lead, and all of the toxic metals. And I wondered when I saw the lead, I was like, well, he didn't have any obvious source of lead poisoning. And I started thinking, my mom was diagnosed with lead poisoning when she was 2 years old. And she was treated in the hospital in New Orleans for 2 weeks at the age of 2. And I mentioned that to Dr. K, and she said, "Oh, well, there's no way they got all the lead out of her when the way that they chelated people back then, and that's well known across the placenta, and and
Yeah.
continue, and then another source of lead toxicity was when I was a kid. My dad was cooking lead musket balls in our cookware, and we all got lead poisoning,
Yeah.
but we were not diagnosed. We were never diagnosed, but that is when my mother got sick. And she and three of my siblings had cavernous hemangiomas, intracranial arteriovenous lesions that are kind of like tumors, but they're hemorrhage risks and they grow. And I think my mom had 20 brain related surgeries before she died.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, so that was like my light bulb. I was like, oh my gosh. So he's had a double whammy of lead poisoning in utero. And even though I didn't know of any obvious source of his exposure besides that, because I was pretty vigilant about making sure, no lead paint and this and
Right.
that anywhere near him. And, the toys and all of that. I was as careful as I could be back then at that young age.
My husband really believes in cross-generational immunization damage too. Like you you can't know what is going to affect a biological system within 1 year. You can't know what's going to do in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years until you know. And now we're fine, unfortunately, becoming everyone else before us were the victims to that. Now we're being able to take a little bit more of it into our own hands.
Oh, yes, for sure. And I've since learning all of this, I have discovered that by listening to other doctors that lead specifically continues to affect offspring for 4 generations from the primary source. So unless it's chelated, of
Yeah.
course. I mean, just in utero. I don't know if it's carried in the sperm, but I mean, I suppose it could be. But um, so Nicholas, that's my son's name, Nicholas. He was treated for all of these things. I think it took somewhere between 2 and 4 years to chelate all the lead out of him before, and because we were doing it under a doctor's care with uh, certain supplements
Yeah.
and everything. I think it took it between 2 and 4 years to chelate all the lead, and I think he was tested every 2.5 to 3 months maybe to see what was still coming out. And after he finished chelating all the lead, the mercury began to come out, and it was all the way across the page on the graph, and the lab, um, and it was probably a total of about 6 years that
Wow.
it took us to chelate all the metals out of this child, and but it didn't fix the problem though. He still wasn't producing any glutathione. And I was not. I mean, we moved to Texas in the ninth grade because he wasn't. The school in Louisiana was not teaching him to read, and he's a lot smarter than that.
Yeah.
That child. Well, he's not a child anymore, but the the WISC four when he was, I think, 12. Um, he was playing with block designs at a psychologist's office. The psychologist said, "Well, let's see what he can do." And he got out the patterns for the block designs subtest, the WIS4, and Nicholas went through every pattern like it was nothing. And the psychologist was like, "Oh my gosh." And he said, "Well, let's see what he can do with weights." That's the Wexler Adult Intelligence Scale. And he Nicholas went through every one of them. He struggled on the last two and then got them. Every one of them. Most adults can't do that. He was like 12,
Yeah.
maybe 13. And the psychologist just went on and on and on. He was like, "Do you know what this means? Do you know what this means?" He said, "I've never seen even the most gifted 16-year-old do this." And they were in Louisiana treating this child like he was retarded.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not. He's like so far above that, but he definitely had his deficits. And he still has some deficits. But he's so capable intellectually, it's not even funny. And what the block design subtest on the whisk and the waist, it measures is the only subtest that measures overall potential intelligence independent of the others.
Yeah.
And so basically what that means to me is like there's no ceiling for this guy's intelligence.
Yeah.
It just needs to, we just need to get it channeled and get the deficits
Exactly.
handled so that he can do what he's capable of doing. And it's been a struggle because as he's gotten older, the diet is not something
Isn't that
that we can handle all that well. And he's got all of these Lyme. These are running in my family too. beginning with my mom. I had my mom, myself, my nephew, and my older son, Nicholas, tested for like everything when we were doing functional medicine. And so we have all the Lyme um, co-infections as well. And so it's, and we've been treated for so many years through functional medicine, but it got to where I just couldn't afford
Yeah.
to have all of us treated anymore at the same time. And Nicholas was always the most profound, and he seems to be the most healed at this point. He doesn't get sick anymore.
Wow.
And um, you know, it's me that gets sick.
Yeah, right? Dr. Mom,
But
we're back to that again.
but yeah, it has been a struggle. And so anyway, back then we got moved to Texas, and he was taught to read, and we went to some other doctors who did the same things as the Baton Rouge doctor, and just in a slightly different way. But so that is where we ended up. And then a few years later, uh, I had a Facebook friend who was an emotion code and body code practitioner, and I was like locked into hardcore religion. I was extremely religious, and I am absolutely 100% a follower of Yeshua, and I always will be. But as far as organized religion, and I'm not saying anything bad about it, but but they caution against Reiki, and Reiki is just a form of energy healing, and because of that, it scared me. So I didn't let my let my body code and emotion code certified friend um, work on this for a while, and then she explained to me what it was, and it was like, well, that is definitely not against God. That is
Yeah.
absolutely 100% with God. I mean, because you start out with prayer, for divine assistance and such. And anyway, so that began my journey with energy healing, and thank God for it. Oh my God!
Amen.
And
No,
yeah, and
that's the truth.
she had healed herself. She had started out the same way. She had a practitioner, and then she became a practitioner, just like me. She was a great teacher.
Mm.
Um,
I
but
also am a former massage therapist, so I completely understand that journey and the same way. It healed me in a totally different way than I expected it would, but it was most definitely amazing experience. And then when I was able to bring that into my journey with autism and, soothing my children and all of that. Oh my gosh, it really comes into play when you can understand how to help
frozen.
calm the body down.
Right. Watching this child push around a suitcase.
Oh gosh, where's he going?
He's probably ready for vacation. Me
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, right? Who isn't? That's great. Well, what are you guys doing now on your journey? Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, now we are okay, so we're doing a lot of emotion code and body code, and what I call quantum, because I do intuitive clearings as well. I mean, I can do an entire clearing intuitively without even using emotion code and body code. But I like the emotion code and body code system, and I'm not body code certified. So even when I work on someone, I don't ever charge for body code. I just charge for the emotion code and the quantum, and kind of like charging for my time.
Yeah.
But I do use the body code system, just don't charge. And I keep my prices low to help people do and
Yeah.
split it up so that there are other options. But so we do that a lot because when I first started learning just emotion code, um, my son Nicholas had he had this annoying problem where he would just drop down and stretch like in the middle of the walkway, in the middle of a sidewalk, in the middle of town.
Yeah.
Um, and he was splitting all of his pants open. And because he was stretching, I was like, well, this must be pain at the base of this. And so I did an emotion code session for chronic pain, and it improved. I did a second emotion code session for chronic pain a few days later, and the behavior never returned.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. And that's just emotion code. That's not even body code or any of the quantum or anything. This is at the point where I was first learning. He was one of my first patients. And and anyway, so I was like, holy moly, what is going on here? And so I continued, and I found that I could do amazing things even with just emotion code. And then I learned more, and I kept learning, and I kept learning, and I'm still learning. I'm never going to stop learning.
Yeah.
And eventually I'm going to be doing regression hypnotherapy.
Mm.
That's probably one of the next things I want to learn. But I've got like 5 million things I want to learn. And so we're doing that, and that is extremely helpful. And like at home, I have a Rife machine, and it has cold laser. It's a spooky 2 system. And so it has cold laser, it has Rife frequencies, and we do some of this. And then in addition to that, we use, don't crash, we use root wellness supplements. And what's so fantastic about those is that they were created by a savant who is a nano biotechnologist.
I believe that.
And she has like all of these PhDs. I think she's working on an MD now. And she is like so over the top brilliant.
Wow.
And she's formulated these supplements to synergistically act in the body to do all of these wonderful things. And so we were spending, when I first started with my son and until we started these products, when I had him like on the whole system that he was on, we were spending between 1,000 and 1,200 a month, every single month, on his care, his testing, and his supplements every month. And these, it's just like the main supplement system that does most of the detox, well, all of the detox work. I think you can, it's like 3 things. It probably costs us, Colton, $300 about
Huge
per
savings.
month. And you do not, I mean, it might be a little bit over that to make sure that you have enough to last a month. It might be just a little bit over that, but not much, not anywhere close to what we were spending. Be careful. Okay, be careful. And and they do so, I mean, they're so superior to what we were doing. And I am certain that if we had been on these like earlier, not only would it not have cost so much, I could have detoxed myself at the same time.
Right?
And he would have been, my son would have been detoxed so much faster. It would have been so much more complete. It would have been so much easier. But they weren't available. I mean, I jumped on the wagon for these as soon as I discovered them. And you have to have, they've set it up because they want to benefit everybody who uses them, because the husband of Dr. Rom, his name is Clayton Thomas, he is actually a humanitarian. Like, he has a humanitarian. So they were trying to decide what they could do to help humanity. That's why they created these.
Okay.
And so the system that he has for these supplements is you buy them, and you create your account and you buy them for yourself, and you get a referral link. And anyone who wants to buy them has to have a referral link. So everybody who, all right, stop. Everybody who purchases these products helps somebody else
Yeah.
with kind of like a business model, and it's just fantastic.
I love
And
that.
I haven't like been trying to sell them or anything, but I mean I probably should, because I mean they're just above the bar. I mean I don't know of anything else, but I'll show you what we do. So this is Zero In, and it addresses the gut brain connection and balances the serotonin and um, okay, so anyone who might be taking or thinking of taking like an SSRI, that is like so far superior. It's like a limitless pill. Like I had severe ADHD, and I've basically healed it with emotion code, body, all right, and with these supplements. Period. Because even after going to all these functional medicine doctors, I still had severe ADHD. And I didn't even get diagnosed until after college when we moved to Texas, because nobody gets diagnosed with anything they really have in Louisiana. There's no help here.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, so yeah, these are just fantastic. My son, I'll tell you about the other ones. So this is Give Me Back My Youth. And it can be used, you can put like some of this in face creams. Like I make a face cream and I put some of this and some of the other products in it. And it's collagen and colostrum. And it's just fantastic. And this is Restore. And this gets the mold and fungus in the gut, and it heals the leaky gut. So all the gut issues, this takes care of it. And it's actually delicious.
Mm.
And I even have the baby on this
Oh,
one.
wow.
And this is Clean Slate, and this gets the it gets pathogens and it gets the toxic metals. You know, all the environmental stuff, and you know the shedding from the things. And this is the reason that I'm able to go to leave my house ever since things with the shedding came out,
Wow.
because I could not. I would get a debilitating migraine every time I left my house and was around people.
Mm.
And we spent, well, I'm not going to tell anything personal, but anyway, it's been like a miracle, like a lifesaver.
That's great.
And then these are the Relive Greens, and these have all the micronutrients that you need. And so, like, fantastic. And right now, um, the Clean Slate and Zero In are what my son is taking. And I'm actually going to do an interview with my son pretty soon, so that he can discuss his
I
experience
love that.
with the products.
Yeah.
And he designs t-shirts, so he wants to promote
Heck yeah. Well, that sounds fantastic. I love that idea. And he should talk about it. That gives him a really great platform
that.
to
Yes.
talk about living experience, because getting that value from other people's living experience is so important. Yeah. Well,
Yes. And back to the supplements. My son spent a few years, and I'm not kidding you, a few years. He's a sneaky little booger. He spent a couple of years throwing away the supplements that I would
Yeah.
give him. I kid you not. I had no idea. I just kept wondering, well, what's wrong with him? What am I not picking up on? This is before I was doing the energy healing bit.
Yeah.
So I had no idea. I didn't know how to muscle test him for deficiencies or anything, which I can do now. I can like literally muscle test it for mineral deficiencies and such. But I had no idea what was going on. I just knew my child was like having all these problems again, like regressing. And I was like, well, I'm addressing everything with all these thousands of dollars of supplements. So what's happening? And anyway, it turned out he was throwing them away. And his methyl B12 injections, he was plunging them out down the sink and rinsing the sink and pretending that he injected himself. And from the point that he convinced me to let him.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I was upset about that for many years. And then I was thinking about that earlier today and realized that, he had been telling me all along, these supplements make me nauseous, they make me throw up. And I started thinking, I had thought about this before, but goodness gracious. But anyway, he he had been telling me this, and I thought, well, maybe it was the capsules that were building up in his intestines. They weren't, being completely eliminated and such. And and then I was like, you know what? These these root wellness products are totally different. Even the capsules are designed to be healthy. And even the packaging. I mean, I think they do something energetically with all of their stuff, so it's just so good. Um, but I asked him this morning. I said, "Do these make you sick?" He said, "No." So he'll
Yeah.
take these all day long, won't lie to me, and ask me for them
Yeah,
when
that's great.
if I forget to give it to him. And he's like, "Oh, I need a zero in. I
Mhm.
really need a zero in. I need some more clean slate. I feel like I need a little extra today." and it helps them. It really does. And um, it's just I can't say enough good.
Do you have a website or social media where people can reach out to you if they
I
want
do,
to get that information?
I do, and I just had my web girl put the link to the Root Wellness products on there today.
Wonderful.
So it's Pepper MD, like medical doctor, but it actually stands for Mary Danielle Wellness. So peppermdwellness.com.
Wonderful.
And
Go ahead.
well, the supplements, I haven't looked at my website because I've been kind of busy today, trying to get myself camera ready, because I usually look like a Sasquatch.
Bless your heart. You
I
look
had to
gorgeous
borrow
today.
my husband's shirt. Just like, what do I wear?
Oh, that's funny. No,
But I
you
think
did a
it's
great job.
cute.
Oh my gosh.
Well, thanks. And anyway, so I haven't looked at it yet, but I think she said that it was going to be under the what is offered tab on the website. So it's on there.
Well, wonderful. I'm definitely going to go check that out. And like you said, if you need a referral to go check out the root supplements, please use the website to go check that out. And yeah, thank you for sharing your journey and your story. And thank you to your son who is going to be sharing his story more, it sounds, in coming in the future. So that's fantastic.
You are so welcome. Thank you for giving me the time.
I love that. And if he wants to come on and talk about his story on the show, he has an invitation to do so as well when he's ready.
Amazing. I'm sure
Yeah.
he'll probably enjoy that.
I would love to have him on and to, like you said, understand what was going on in his mind and like in his experience and memory of it all too and how it helped him. So that'd be fascinating to talk about.
Awesome.
Well,
I think
thank
so
you.
too.
Yeah, and I like that you're going to do that. I hope to one day be able to interview my son that way too. He's 13 and he's still semi-verbal. We have thought about metal chelation, so now I'm going to think about it more. Now that we've had this discussion, it's like, okay, I remember having these talks with my husband before. Now we can re talk about these some of these things. So this will
Oh
be
yeah.
great
And if
episode for him.
right. And if you so the clean slate is like a super gentle way to do that. And I know that, our kiddos with autism often have like the sensory issues with, texture and taste
Mm.
and everything. And I had quite a few autistic traits um up until I started working on them.
Yeah.
And I was certainly diagnosable when I was a kid and even as a young adult. Um, it's taken me a long time to get to where I can sit here and talk to you like this.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what I do with the with my baby, I mean he's not a baby, he's 5, but is I put Restore, which tastes really good, on a big spoon, and then I put Clean Slate, 10 drops because he's only 5, in the center of the Restore because the Clean Slate's a little bit sour.
Okay.
Um, and I call it eyeball medicine to make it fun.
Mm,
And and he takes that and he likes it.
that's
And
great.
so it's an idea.
Yeah. No, thank you so much. I always need good ideas for those types of things. So, well,
Mhm.
I really appreciated your time today. Thank you so much. And I look forward to staying in touch so that we can bounce back some different ideas and information with one another. So, thank you so, so much.
Yes, absolutely. And you are so welcome.